Captain Vera Chen had hauled freight across the Outer Rim for 15 years, and in all that time, she'd learned one universal truth. Never trust a cargo manifest from Station Kepler 442. Yet here she was, 3 days into a routine supply run to the mining colonies of Proxima, when her ship's sensors detected something the paperwork hadn't mentioned. Area. Run another scan of Bay 3, Vera commanded, her fingers dancing across the holographic console of the wandering star. The ship's artificial intelligence responded in its characteristic monotone. Captain, the anomalous reading persists. Mass inconsistency detected. Manifest lists 47 metric tons. Actual mass 47.3 metric tons, 300 kilograms. Not enough to be a shipping container, but too much to be a stowaway. Vera's jaw tightened. She'd transported Velcarian refugees, dodged corporate customs, and once even smuggled a diplomat's pet, a creature that nearly ate through her hull plating. But unauthorized cargo? That was how captains disappeared. She grabbed her plasma cutter and headed to Bay 3. The cargo bay was a cathedral of containers, each one stamped with corporate logos and hazard warnings. Vera moved between them, her scanner sweeping back and forth. The reading grew stronger near the aft bulkhead, behind a stack of medical supplies destined for Proxima 7. There, wedged between two containers, was something that made her blood run cold. A stasis pod. Zethian design. Vera had seen these before. Coffin-sized chambers used by the Zethian Empire to transport prisoners across their territories. The pod's surface shimmered with that characteristic purple-black sheen, and through the frost-covered viewport she could see a figure inside. Arya, scan this pod. What species? A pause. Then, scanning. Captain, biosignatures indicate human, female. Age approximately 23 standard years. Vital signs stable but suppressed. Human. A human in a Zethian prison pod loaded onto her ship without authorization. This wasn't smuggling. This was slavery, or worse. The Zethian Empire had been humanity's enemy for 2 generations ever since they'd tried to annex the colony worlds. The war had ended in stalemate, but tensions remained. A human in their custody meant interrogation, experimentation, or a slow death in their labor camps. Vera's hand hovered over her comm unit. The smart play was to call it in, let the authorities handle it. But authorities asked questions, filed reports, and accidentally returned prisoners to their captors when diplomatic pressure got too heavy. She thought of her daughter, safe in university on Earth. She thought of what she'd want someone to do if positions were reversed. Arya, can we open this pod safely? Negative, Captain. Zethian stasis technology is booby-trapped. Unauthorized access will trigger a neurotoxin release, killing the occupant. Only Zethian genetic markers can safely disengage the locks. Vera smiled grimly. Then it's a good thing humans are creative. She returned to the bridge and pulled up every file she had on Zethian technology. Their security was formidable, but it relied on genetic verification, specifically the presence of Zethian pheromones and heat signatures. The system was designed to be foolproof against other species, but humans had something the Zethians didn't account for: spite and determination in equal measure. Over the next 6 hours, Vera worked. She rigged a thermal blanket to mimic Zethian body temperature. She synthesized a crude approximation of their pheromones using the ship's medical bay and samples from a previous encounter with the Zethian traders. She built a mechanical hand from spare parts that could approximate their 6-fingered grip pattern. It was a long shot. A desperate, foolish long shot. Arya, what are the odds this works? 17%, Captain. I've beaten worse. Vera positioned her contraption over the pod's access panel. The synthetic pheromones released, the thermal blanket warmed, and the mechanical hand pressed against the sensor. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the pod hissed. Locks disengaged. The lid began to rise. Vera held her breath, ready to slam the emergency containment field if neurotoxin started spraying. But the pod opened cleanly, and the woman inside gasped, her eyes flying open. Easy, Vera said, helping her sit up. You're safe. You're on a human ship. The woman was young, just as Arya had indicated, with the pale skin of someone who hadn't seen real sunlight in months. Her head was shaved, and there were neural implant scars behind her ears. Scythian interrogation marks. How long? The woman croaked. How long were you in stasis? No, how long until they find me? Vera checked her scanner. Still 3 days from Proxima, and the pod's tracking beacon was active. Of course it was active. The Zethians would want to recover their prisoner. Area, calculate jump coordinates. We're going dark. Captain, that will void our contract and strand us without fuel reserves. Do it anyway. The woman grabbed Vera's arm. You don't understand. I'm not just a prisoner. I'm Dr. Sarah Kim. I worked on the Kepler Station Xenobiology project. I discovered something about the Zethians, a weakness in their genetic structure. That's why they took me. If they extract what I know, she didn't need to finish. If the Zethians learned that humanity knew their weakness, they'd launch a preemptive strike. Millions would die. Vera stood, decision crystallizing. Arya, forget Proxima. Set course for the Terran defense perimeter. Maximum burn. Captain, we lack sufficient fuel. We'll coast if we have to. Send an encrypted distress call to any human vessels in range. Priority Alpha. As the wandering star changed course, Vera helped Dr. Kim to the medical bay. The younger woman looked at her with tears in her eyes. Why are you doing this? You don't know me. Vera thought of her daughter again, of all the humans scattered across the galaxy, trying to survive in a universe that seemed determined to grind them down. Because, she said simply, that's what humans do. We don't leave our people behind. The stars stretched into lines as the ship jumped to FTL, racing toward safety with precious cargo, and perhaps the key to humanity's survival. End.